Clemson travels to Raleigh, North Carolina to play the Wolfpack this Saturday. It's going to be at 2 o'clock on the CW. Yeah. Instead of watching Gossip Girl on the CW many years ago, like some did, not me. Hey, if a girl makes you watch it with them, okay? All right? Anyway, Clemson plays on the CW. It's still really weird for me. 2 o'clock this coming Saturday. Both teams need to win. Both teams are in a very odd place. I'm going to get into that and more. Hey, I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby. Thanks for joining me on the show. If you're brand new here, I hope you hit the subscribe button. It's free, and it's a great way to support the channel without paying a dime. Yeah, it's like the easy way out. I do appreciate it. Over the past few days, talking about the unfortunate loss with Clemson, I've had a lot of people come on the show and a lot of great comments, and I do appreciate those. So, welcome, friends. Let's dive into Clemson and NC State. Now, we know what's going on with Clemson. We know what's happened to them. They're 4-3, 2-3 in the conference. One of the worst records they've had in quite a while. But let's talk about the NC State Wolfpack. This is a team who has a first-year coordinator, offensive coordinator, Robert Anae. Robert Anae has been around college football for 30-something years. Last year, he was the offensive coordinator for Syracuse, and before that, he was offensive coordinator for Virginia. Oddly enough, Brennan Armstrong, who was his quarterback a few years ago, and Anae was the coordinator for Brennan Armstrong at Virginia, when Armstrong had that crazy season where he put up a bunch of whacked out numbers. You're like, wow, this guy's really doing a lot. He's a workhorse quarterback, kind of throw a team on their shoulders and kind of go with it. Brennan Armstrong is the redheaded southpaw that transferred from Virginia after Devin Leary decided, hey, there's greener pastures in Kentucky. And as always, Kentucky starts off kind of strong, and they end up being, well, Kentucky. Brennan Armstrong is playing down here at Virginia, or NC State via Virginia. This season, he's thrown for 971 yards, 5 touchdowns, but he's thrown 6 interceptions. He's also the leading rusher for the team. 70 carries, 281 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This is a guy who gets hit a lot. Now, I want to pause there, too. I've watched, especially early on in the first 3 or 4 games of the season, I watched NC State play a lot. I watched them blow the lead against Louisville. When Louisville was down 10-0, I believe, at halftime to NC State. And then Louisville came back and beat them. I saw them struggle with Virginia and barely win by 3 points. Marshall went head-to-head with them. And, Marshall scored 41 points on NC State. Fortunately for NC State, Marshall, they don't have a defense. So that kind of helped. And, of course, just recently, Duke, without Riley Leonard, played with their backup and beat NC State 24-3. Now, if there's a bright spot for NC State, and you're like a Clemson fan, you're like, who should I know? It's kind of like, kind of like an up-and-coming player for NC State. Look no farther than true freshman Kevin Concepcion out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, as Clemson fans, we can relate a lot to this young man because we kind of have a standout at freshman wide receiver, Tyler Brown. Kevin Concepcion is NC State's Tyler Brown. This guy, he's quite explosive. He sticks out like a sore thumb among an offense that really doesn't look incredible. He has 37 receptions, 410 yards, and 4 touchdowns. This kid has to be respected. If there's a game that he would love to come out and pad those numbers some more and really make a name for himself, even though Clemson's not doing good at all this year, when it comes to, stuff that counts like the record win-loss column, they still have a lot of great talent, especially on the defensive side of the football. If Concepcion could come out and do a good job against them, I'm telling you, that puts more eyebrows, more attention on him. I think I said eyebrows, more eyes on him. So what should we know about this NC State team? Well, first of all, they're not a dominant team. On offense, they average about 347 yards per game, 204 in the air, 143 on the ground. They're not terrible at defense, but they're not that good. They allow 332 yards per game, 222 in the air, 110 on the ground. If you're Clemson, you step back and you look at this NC State team. You see that they're 4-3. And you ask yourself, how did Duke beat them? How did Louisville beat them? How did Notre Dame beat them? And Notre Dame beat them pretty commandingly, 45-24. How did that happen? Maybe us, in a spirit of desperation, of not wanting to lose more games, which unfortunately I believe they will. What could we do? Watch what those three teams did. Consistency against the Wolfpack is kind of a big deal. Trying to bruise them up front is kind of a big deal. I believe Duke, threw 4 or 5 passes and they beat them? They are susceptible to the run. Now, if I'm Clemson, obviously I'm going to run Shipley, but we need to get Maffa more involved because I'm going to tell you, he's going to transfer and he should. You have Phil Maffa. Run him against them. If they are susceptible to the run, when they played Aldrich Estime from Notre Dame, they had their hands full and then hit the pass. That would probably be a good idea. You know, that's a game that you kind of want to step back and say, how did these teams win? Maybe we can see a deficiency and follow their template. And I can give you some of the stats on that NC State Duke game, just to kind of give you an idea of what went on there. Duke's quarterback only completed 4 out of 12 passes in that game. You say, what does that tell me? That tells me they only threw the ball the entire game 12 times. NC State knew it, and they couldn't stop the run. Duke ran for 194 yards and only passed for 107 off of 12 attempts. Once again, what does that tell? They threw an interception. Bellin threw an interception. You would think that what NC State would do is stack the box. They can't throw on us. They might have Calhoun and Moore and those guys, but they can't throw on us. Stack the box. Make this. Nope, they didn't. Duke rushed for almost 200 yards on them. Listen to me. NC State had the ball 12, 13. No, actually, I'm wrong. 13, almost 14 minutes longer than Duke. And they lost by 3 touchdowns. So that tells you running the ball against NC State, good. That's a good idea. The last time I checked, you still have Dominic Thomas on the team. You still have Keith Adams Jr. on the team. Rotate all 4. Rotate all of them. Give Maffa a few more carries than what you've been giving him. Because if you don't be shocked when he transfers. Don't be shocked when he leaves the team. And don't one of you Clemson fans look and go, he must have not been all in. Get a little more insight into what has worked against NC State. We'll look at the Louisville game I talked about. Louisville was down 10-0 at the half. 10-0 in the half. Or at that halftime. And they came back and won 13-10. You mean to tell me that the Wolfpack couldn't even get another field goal in a whole second half? An entire second half, they couldn't. It's kind of shocking. But let's step back and look at the stats of this game. In this game, Louisville was terrible at rushing the football. They only had 20 rushing yards, but they threw for 286. So it kind of throws what I said out the window there to a point. Or does it? Maybe it shows that according to what day it is, you might be able to do both on them. That's a real, I mean, that stat right there only gave up 20 rushing yards. It looks great, but you ended up losing 13-10. The question is, what happened to your offense? And I watched that game, and I'll tell you exactly what I saw and what I've seen when I've watched Brennan Armstrong. Once again, he's a workhorse. I truly believe the best way to handle Brennan Armstrong is to tell him, we know you're going to run the football. We know that's what they want to do. So we are going to stack the box. We're going to make you throw the football. And when you go to throw the football, we're going to have pressure coming after you. Because I've seen this over and over again with Brennan Armstrong. He's a very talented athlete. But when you pressure him, he throws wide a lot. He's not just a little off. He's off. Like the wide receiver can't even make a play on it. So if I'm Clemson, we don't give someone time to throw the football. Anyway, that's poor defense. I mean, your secondary better be, even with an okay college quarterback, you just can't stand there and let them have time to think and fill out their taxes and work out problems that might be going on in their life and maybe blow a kiss to one of the girls they think's cute up in the stands. You can't, because even if you're not a prolific passer, you're still playing D1 college football, and if you can kind of throw, you can probably get a completion if there's protection long enough. And I say all of this because Clemson just lost to a true freshman quarterback at Miami. We didn't play Tyler Van Dyke. So before anybody comes in here and starts talking about our front seven lost this past week. And I know that a lot of that deals with the offense and that bunch of stuff, but I'm just telling you, this is how I would go after Brennan Armstrong. I would go after Brennan Armstrong, and I would take the run away. He cannot beat you with his arm. Just straight up, he can't beat you with his arm. So let's talk about the Tigers and the mindset that's going on with them. Now, I actually recorded 2 different videos talking about the loss. I did a video yesterday that I hope you will check out. That says Clemson part 2, but actually the other part was Clemson loses, how to fix Clemson. How to fix Clemson. And I'm just spoiler alert, I literally start off with how to fix Clemson. I give you my point. I don't ramble and ramble. But Clemson has to have this win, because the next phase of Clemson losing is not only the 10-game thing. We're past the whole 10-game, we're not going to win 10 games. When I saw us play the way we played against Wake Forest, I went, we're not winning 10 games. I kind of held that to myself. I tried to be a little more optimistic, but folks, I'm tired of being optimistic. I'm more realistic, and I've been right way more times. Just going with my gut. Your emotions / your heart will lead you to terrible places. Go with your gut. Your gut will tell you the truth. My gut says Clemson's not done losing unless something miraculous happens with a football team. And I don't put that on the players. I put that on the guys who are paid to prepare them to play. The adults. The adults are in charge. These players are only running the plays. They are only executing what they've been practicing. They are only capable of what they have been refined and challenged to do at a positional level, and then going into a unit, and then going into an entire defense or an entire offense or an entire special teams unit. They can only do so much. They're not the coach, they're the player, they're the implementer. We are now at a place that if Clemson continues to backslide down the mountain, they were on the mountain. Everybody listened to what Dabo Swinney had to say, and whether they would watch games hating Clemson, hating Swinney, but hoping that they would lose with all their heart. Why? Because you couldn't beat Clemson. Things are different. Now we're at a place to where we're not only trying to conserve our season, we're also trying to keep players from hitting this thing called the transfer portal. Ever heard of it? The transfer portal will be full of orange and white. If Clemson doesn't start pulling it together, and the bandwagon will not only be the only thing growing lighter, your talented depth chart will as well. So Clemson has to win this game or else. Now I want to mention a couple of sponsors. First of all, 4puttcarts.com. The link is below. 4puttcarts.com is beverage and cart service for golf courses as well as special events. Hit them up. You're like, hey, my golf course already has cart service. Why do I need to hit up these guys? I used to work at a golf course, and when tournaments would come through, guess what? We would get overwhelmed. Get them out there, keep good publicity going. If you don't have cart service, you need to reach out to them. You need to get them in there. It'll be a lot of fun. If you have a special event, you definitely need to get in touch with them, get them out there. Also, I see Eric in here. I got that upside down. We're giving away some of these. Eric, if you're still in here, you call the terms. How are we going to give this away? We're giving away some of these right now. And he made this one for me, and he's never made any more. So you have to take that up with him. But right here, folks, we're going to give away some more of these. Eric, if you're still in here, call how we're going to give them away. And for the remainder of the video, we'll try to do that. If you're still not in here, I'll just shut it down. But the Sawmill Shop, reach out to them and let them know that you heard about it. Have 43 people in here. I hope you've hit the thumbs up, and I hope that you have subscribed. Just some closing thoughts. This is a game that on paper Clemson should win. Clemson was a favorite at Miami this past week. You need to understand that. And when you factor in that Tyler Van Dyke didn't play, you would think that Clemson would be even more of a favorite. Clemson is a 10-point favorite going into this game. Interestingly enough, the over-under is 44. Now, I'm not a betting guy, but I take the under on this one because I've seen both these teams play recently. Now, hold on. Let's pause right there. Clemson has the talent on the team. They have the talent on the team across the board as far as the players goes to be undefeated right now. A lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people are coming at me talking about Cade and how Cade is this and how Cade is that. And yes, Cade has made some poor decisions, but he hasn't been coached well. That still matters, folks. We have defensive players who are projected first rounders. They don't look good. They don't look terrible, but they don't look as great as they used to. You remember when Clemson's defense used to come out and just gnaw people alive and just like, oh my, what is going on? I can tell you what's going on. Even our defense is suffering. Clemson has to win this football game. This is a winnable game for them. And this is as urgent as it gets. And a couple of more things, and then I'm gonna go. I cannot overstate the possibility of people hitting the transfer portal. This is a business. And next, I can't overstate how important it is to people who care about the program. If someone cares about something, they will get angry when it starts going sideways. If you meet a person who says, I care about XYZ, whatever that might be, I care about my car, but their car's always dirty. I got a little dirt on it. Do they really care? No, they don't care. Oh, I care about my family. Their wife leaves them. I mean, it doesn't crush them. I love my football team. Oh, they're doing bad? That's no big deal. Do they really care? No. No. The reason that the Clemson community is upset right now is that we do care and we do appreciate our coach, but we see that he is not operating in the way that he used to operate. He's not hiring the best coaches and positions coaches possible. Coach, get back to what made you successful. When you were what? In your mid to late 30s when you were hired? Coach Sweeney was hired when he was in his late 30s, what, 37? Somewhere in there? Imagine being a 37-year-old man, and I'll be 41 in a couple of weeks, less than a couple of weeks. If someone turned over Clemson's program to me today, you know what I would do? I would immediately realize that I'm in over my head. If in over my head, what would I do? I need the best, not only offensive and defensive coordinator, I need the best position coaches. Do we have the budget? We have the budget. Okay, good, because money talks. Someone said to me recently, said, you make it seem too simple. Nothing is easy. I get that. You start dangling tons of money in front of people, guess what happens? They start saying yes when they normally would say no. That's exactly what I would do. I would hire the best position. I wanted the best offensive line coach in the country right now. I don't care if he's in the NFL. I don't care if he's at Ohio State. I don't care if he is. That's who I'd hire. If I can't get him, I'm gonna have me a list of about 5 good people per position coach at least. But I want the top. I'm going for the top. I'm swinging for the fences because I want the best people around me. And that's what he did, folks. Sweeney did that. That's the reason he was successful. And that's all he has to do. I don't want Sweeney to go away. I don't want to get into some, peeing match with Dabo Sweeney. But I do want him to stop lying to himself. The program has declined because you have stopped. You stopped doing the things that made you successful. Just go back to that. And trust me, you'll have another championship very soon. Not this year, but very soon. That's all you have to do, coach. Oh, man, that sounds easy. Yeah. Yep. It's a lot easier than continuously walking out week after week, having more fans look at you going, why don't you just do the right thing? Why don't you go back to what made you you? That's how you fix it. Folks, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope y'all take care of yourself. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, there's a join button below here. Unless you're on an iPhone, you might not see it. It is so flipping cheap. I'm not kidding. It's so flipping cheap, you won't even notice it. So if you want to support the channel on a monthly basis, please go ahead. Remember Remember the Sawmill Shop. Remember 4puttcarts.com. Tell them that you heard about them from me. Folks, I will do my official prediction this week for this game. We'll be talking about some other games that will be coming up. We're moving farther and farther into the season. We're past the midpoint already. It's kind of sad. It's kind of good. We're already seeing teams shake out. Oh, did you see Penn State lose? Yeah, every time they go and play a team that's decent, that has a pulse, you know. So all of a sudden, those preseason rankings once again mean very little. Again for you, Penn State. Again. Folks, you take care. I'll catch you next time as always. Go Tigers.